Howdy folks, and welcome back to Pokebeers, where we catch 'em all and catch a buzz. In this video, I'd like to talk specifically about modern versus semi-modern or semi-vintage, and more specifically, whether or not you should be buying products off of TCGPlayer.com. We all know that TCGPlayer is one of the preferred vendors for single cards. If you're looking to just stop opening a certain set and just buy out the rest of the cards that you need for the set for your master collection, then you'll typically look to eBay, TCGPlayer, or Troll and Toad for those single cards, and that's what I've been doing for the past few weeks. I've gotten a little bit stale with Shining Fates and sets like Battle Styles, so I've reached out and I've searched out cards on TCGPlayer to source some of the cards that I want from those sets. So from older sets like Hidden Fates, or I believe this is Unified Minds, and then Vivid Voltage, and then Shining Fates. I wanted to pick up a couple of copies of singles for some of the cards that either I didn't have for my collection, or ones I wanted more copies of, specifically for the Bruno for Battle Styles. I love that card. And additionally, I have also been purchasing some cards from older generations of Pokemon, more specifically the EX era. So I've got this nice Mewtwo EX promo card, and I've got the Kyogre. I have the Groudon to match the Kyogre, and then I picked up this Alakazam EX from XY Fates Collide, and then we have a Scizor EX, and then another Scizor here. So these are from sets from the XY era. We're talking like 4 or 5 years old now at this point. And I wanted to make this video because I've noticed a significant difference in the quality of near mint Pokemon cards that are being advertised on TCGPlayer as condition near mint from the XY era, so you're talking 4 or 5 years old, to the current modern sets, which are, these are typically less than 3 years old, right? And what I found is, here are the cliff notes. You guys can all stop watching after this, but not before you like and subscribe. Is the newer cards, when you're talking about a near mint condition, these cards are truly in near mint to almost mint condition throughout the board. Like, these are 5 different sets that these singles came from, and they are in much better condition than the cards that I bought from this era of Pokemon. I bought multiple copies of this Single Strike Bruno card in both the full art and the rainbow. I bought multiple copies of the rainbow birds, and so I purchased a ton of different modern singles over the last month and a half, and only this week, from all of the different sellers that I purchased from in this order, these are from all different sellers, and all of these cards were supposed to be in near mint condition. And what I found is, when they're compared to the near mint condition of the modern cards, it's not even a comparison. So for example, I'm going to start out with the Alakazam first. This isn't quite the worst one that I found, but let's compare this. Alright, so this is the Bruno. This is a near mint condition Bruno Single Strike Full Art Trainer, right? The centering's fine. Granted, centering is not indicative of a near mint condition, but if you look closely, there's no real defects on the surface, and if you look at the back here, there's no whitening, because the whitening is very easy to spot on the back of the card with the blue. The corners are fine. This is a near mint copy of this card. All right, there's literally nothing wrong with this. All right, if you look at this Alakazam, this is supposed to be a near mint copy of an Alakazam EX from Fates Collides. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but if you see this little speck right here on his forehead, that is not supposed to be there, right? That is a surface defect that will get picked up on grading. You can see from the front that there's going to be whitening issues on the edges, okay? So let's flip this around and see how bad it looks on the back. It's really not too bad on the back. You've got some whitening on the corners, right? You've got some whitening on the edges, but when you look at the corners, like look at that. Look at, you can just see that that's bent up, right? That corner is, there's no way in hell that corner is, either of those bottom corners are gonna get an 8 or higher, all right? Which is the near mint status for any of the grading companies. Which I think it's unfair to advertise your cards as near mint if you can clearly see those defects. And for example, let's do another one, all right? This is Unified Minds, Raichu and Alolan Raichu. So it's not even a set that came out this year or even last year. It's an older one, right? From 2019. You can see that I purchased this as a near mint copy. There's like no surface defects, okay? Like the centering it's clearly off, right? But again, that's nothing to do with the owner of the card. Like this came out packed fresh and that's the centering that it got, right? But there's nothing wrong. There's nothing truly wrong with the corners or the edges or the surface, okay? So you can advertise this as a near mint copy. Like someone clearly took this from the pack and sleeved it up and sold it, all right? They didn't keep it in their collection for a million years to be battered around and gone through multiple different moves, all right? So that's a near mint copy. But now look at this Mewtwo EX, okay? I was super stoked on this card because I love Mewtwo, right? He's an original 150 Pokemon. So I was like, okay, this is a sweet promo. It's a pretty different, or it's a pretty like iconic Pokemon, and I was super excited to get it. So why not pick up a near mint copy, okay? So this is XY promo 107. First thing I noticed, number one, you can flip over the card, and this person has called this card a near mint copy. Look at all of the whitening on the edges, right? That is horrible. That is absolutely egregious to call that a near mint copy. You've got whitening all along the top, all along the corners. There's not so much bending as it was in the other card that we showed you there, the Alakazam EX, but the edges of this card are chewed up. And then upon further inspection, I was like, okay, that's not too bad. But look at this, all right? I'm gonna try and get it on the camera. Do you see that? Do you see the clear indent right there on Mewtwo's cheek? That is a surface defect that's pretty much a dent, and there's no way in hell that will get more than a 6 from any grading company, because that's like something fell on the card and indented it. Regardless of there's no scratches on the surface or whatnot, you can see it even from this far back on the camera. That is a dent in the surface of the card, and there's no way that's going to get a mint or near mint grading if I send this in, right? That's going to get like a 6 or a 5 just because of that thing on the cheek. And someone advertised this card as near mint condition, which I think is completely unfair to do. So yeah, one more example, this Kyogre, I bought the Groudon and the Kyogre from Primal Clash because both of those Pokemon are badass, and I think they're awesome, and I would love to have these cards in my collection, and now I do. But this was one of the first things that I unboxed in my mail day today, and the centering is, the centering's off, like whatever, but I flip it around, and I noticed some whitening, but it's not really too much whitening to be mad about, right? But if you take a good look at this card, I'm gonna try and get it on camera. You can see a scratch. There you go. You can see it. The scratch is right up the center of the Pokeball. That's a clear scratch across the top of the back of the card. There's no way in hell that any grading company is going to give this a 7 or an 8, which is a near mint grade, because there's just a slash up and down the Pokemon card, right? And again, I purchased all of these cards as a near mint condition, as did I with these modern cards. And these modern cards are in so much better condition, like centering regardless, right? You can't see any surface defects like with this card. You can't see any scratches on the back. Like, this is from Hidden Fates. We've got a Vivid Voltage, one of my favorite cards from Vivid Voltage, the Alakazam V Full Art. You can't see anything that's wrong with that. On the back, you flip it around. So what I've come to the conclusion is that if you're looking at buying singles for near mint copies, modern sets, meaning 3 years or later, I think it's a probably safe bet that they're actually going to come in near mint condition. But these cards here were 4 or 5 years old, some of them older, and they're clearly not near mint. You are not going to get a 7 or an 8, but there are sellers on that website that they're going to advertise them as near mint, and you just need to realize that. So from now on, if I'm looking at older sets, semi-vintage, or even 5 years back from current time, there's no way I'm going to TCGPlayer for any of these cards again, because I just have no faith that the near mint condition that people advertise on TCGPlayer and all of their sellers, clearly realize what a near mint condition is. And maybe that's a product of just so many people getting into the hobby, and maybe they're just not familiar with what near mint actually means. But there's no way that near mint holds up to the standard of the modern near mint that I've seen. So just the long and the short of it is, just be wary and be aware that there are some differences and there's some liberties that certain sellers take on TCGPlayer just to move their cards for a higher price point. But yeah, I would advise to take caution in buying near mint copies of older sets on TCGPlayer. All right, this is just a helpful tip, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please hit the like button and the subscribe, and let me know in the comments below what kind of experience that you have had with TCGPlayer. All right, cheers, folks.